Good evening, and thank you to members of the media, to the Board of Elections, and above all, to my fellow Maconites who are supporting me from all areas of town, north, east, west, and south. Maconites who are black, white, red, yellow, and brown. My candidacy represents all of Macon, rich and poor. We are inheritors of this great city, and so we must protect, build, and move forward together. The actions that we as Maconites of all races and backgrounds take at the polls on May the 19th, 2020 can and will determine what kind of future we want as a city and as a region. I'm running for mayor of Macon-Bibb not to run against any particular opponents, not to climb the social ladder, not because my ego needs attention, not to tear people down, not to debate the past. But I stand firmly upon the foundation of those who came before me, who worked to make our city a better place. I'm running for mayor on my ideas to make us a safe and prosperous city for all, where friendships can be made across neighborhoods, and the hope and promise of one is indeed the hope and promise of all. We are on the cusp of becoming a wonderful 21st century city, where education abounds from elementary to the university level, from Bibb County Public Schools to our private and charter schools, from Mercer University and Middle Georgia State to Central Georgia Tech. The educational foundation is here for companies and corporations, big and small, to come to Macon, Georgia, USA. I'm a low-tax, pro-business candidate and individual, but above all, I believe in public-private partnerships. Such endeavors take the burden off of the strained local taxpayer, in particular, the property taxpayer, and simply ask that our corporate citizens become better corporate neighbors by way of their philanthropic arm or from their local dividends. So yes, I am running for and own my ideas, and which is more, for all the people of Macon, Georgia. A city I love, and a city you love. My goal is to bring a technology corridor to South Macon, close to and to piggyback off of Robins Air Force Base. Not just a building in downtown, but rather an entire section of our city benefiting from such an idea. Inland ports. My idea to connect Macon with the Port of Savannah and thus the world, taking advantage of our proximity in our region and our interstate system that runs through the heart of our city. As that international port is deepened, more cargo will come to our shores, and thus it has to navigate our country. That is where Macon and its inland ports come into play. Our greatest asset is our history, which will fuel our tourism industry. From our musical heritage to our emerging film projects, our place in our nation's history, whether it be civil rights or civil war, Macon, Georgia has been prominent and instrumental in forming our nation's more perfect union. Our medical facilities are second to none. Once again, because of our location, Macon can serve as a medical hub for our region, in particular, Central and South Georgia. I propose bringing more national medical labs and research studies to the downtown area. That is the first prong of my medical Macon plan. These labs and research departments will not only bring more jobs and more people to our area with higher incomes, but what is more, we, our city, will play a crucial role in eradicating many of the ills and diseases of our time, in particular heart disease and cancer. The second prong of my medical Macon plan is to bring about a program that I call MCET, Medical Careers Express Track, where we form an even greater partnership with the Board of Education, Mercer, Middle Georgia State, and Fort Valley State, and Navison and the Coliseum hospitals. The purpose is to keep our healthcare professionals from doctors to nurses, but to keep them here in Macon, from elementary school through college, through the workforce. By doing this, we solidify a strong medical presence, a strong economy, and above all, a better city. And of course, from this medical platform, reach our rural neighbors and increase their way of life, in surrounding counties like Twiggs and Hancock. We can build this marvel, this modern Macon, where we are the economic engine of our region. From public safety to economic development, to medical advancement, to tourism, to bringing forth ideas that enrich us all. We can be that city, shining on the Ocmulgee, with hope for all, with promise for all, but above everything, requiring that all do their part to make us safe, to make us prosperous, and to make us one Macon for the 21st century. And so, on today, as I turn in my declaration of intent, I am one step closer to being the next mayor of Macon, Georgia. And we are one step closer to being that wonderful city on the hill. I ask for your votes on May the 19th, 2020. I ask for your ideas, and I ask for your prayers. Let us see where our dreams can take us. Let us see where our hearts can lead us. And let us see what our collective efforts and our unified deeds can achieve. May the Almighty guide our hearts, and in the words of that old spiritual, guide our feet while we run this race, for we don't want to run this race in vain. Thank you, God bless you, and may God continue to bless our home, Macon, Georgia, USA. Thank you. Nikki, okay? Yep. Got it? James? Katie? All right. Tommy, I appreciate you so much. Do I need to do anything in particular?
Training vote here.
Okay.
And if you decide to have a campaign committee, that's a separate form, but you can.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the technology corridor that you mentioned.
Well, the technology corridor is an idea that I had for South Macon in particular, to piggyback off of Robins Air Force Base. You may have heard me mention this in my announcement back in July, where you would bring technology companies and firms to that area. It doesn't have to be defense companies, there can be other IT companies overall, but I think to piggyback off of Robins Air Force Base to get a start is my goal there. Now, since I've mentioned that idea, Robins has partnered with Mercer downtown, where the old Capricorn is, and they're going in there with a smaller facility. But what I have is more of a grand scale in terms of an overall corridor that would benefit the entire area of town, not just in downtown Macon. And I also mentioned the fact of the MSET, which is the Medical Careers Express Track. Part of my hope there is to bring research labs and medical labs to the downtown area so it can partner with the medical center and also partner with the Bibb County School System and the colleges in this area, so people can, from early on throughout their entire educational career, can stay here in Macon, Georgia. That's the goal, to get more people to stay here in our city. So those are two things that I have in mind. Of course, inland ports is another thing where, as I mentioned, the Port of Savannah is being deepened. And as that cargo comes into our shores, it's got to be disseminated throughout the United States of America. So what better place than to bring it to the inland ports of Macon, Georgia, since Macon has serious, great interstates right here with I-75 and I-16 going through the heart of our city, and 475 as a connector. So inland ports of Macon would be a great thing for our city. Another thing is, as far as the partial side of town, Applin Middle School, I've talked about this a number of times. I met with the superintendent and told him what my idea is for Applin once the students are out of there. I would love to see a hotel go in there, like a Hilton Garden Inn, in conjunction with an athletic complex, which would service East Macon, which would service the 48th Brigade, which is right next door. It can also be a spillover for the Marriott, which is just 2 miles away, 2 or 3 miles away. And plus, individuals who are close by in areas like Fort Hill don't have to worry about transit or transportation. They can easily walk to work. So those are some ideas. My ideas for Macon are what I call 21st century ideas for the city of Macon. And quite honestly, that's what I want to go forward on. That's what I want to win or lose on, is my ideas. I don't want to get into a debate about the past. Many of my opponents may talk about things they've done in the past, as far as the school system or things like that may come into play with 2 of my opponents. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the future, and I want to talk about If we talk about the school system, talk about the great things that Dr. Jones is doing, and talk about the great things the students are doing, and the faculty and staff of the school system. But let us not go back. Let us go forward and go forward together. And I appreciate y'all.
How do they reach you?
You can reach me at 478-508-4492. That's 478-508-4492. I appreciate any volunteers, and I definitely appreciate your support going forward into May. The actual voting date is May the 19th, 2020, and I'm sure the Board of Elections will have early voting. So at that time, please vote for Stanley B. Stewart. Thank you very much.